good.
No, the people in the West are very disobedient. They won't follow rules.
Yeah.
That's okay. So it's good. Good start in the morning. First thing, a very historic event, and we have so many people attending.
Currently, there's 19. I think there are more to come.
I think. Myanmar should be a lot, Myanmar.
Myanmar, we have Kin Mau Te, Kim Mau Min.
Should be a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kim Mau Mian.
Right.
Hi, Kim Mau Min.
Hi.
Kim Mau Win. Yeah, he was in already earlier.
Yeah.
We saw him there.
Yeah,
Very good.
Yes.
Yeah, all right.
The County,
Good.
Mr. County, 5 MES.
Oh, hi.
Very good.
Yeah, thank you.
We are arranging for something very special with MES in December.
Okay. Another
very special one.
participant is Chocho Mo, another one.
We will have a very special one with Myanmar in June, in December. In December.
Thank you.
It is, so that if that is a successful one, the government of Malaysia is involved for this one. We will then do it for all the ASEAN countries. But that I do it under a different platform, under the Malaysian Service Providers Confederation, and also under the ASEAN Service Providers Confederation, which we hope to. We are already in the process of creating this platform.
Thank you.
That is the purpose is for you all to become richer. It is in trade to make money. Okay. Okay, I think we can start.
Yep,
Start
sure.
off.
Thank you. You can start.
We can start. We
Okay.
can start slow. So good morning to all of you. Very nice of you to be gathered this morning for us to have a breakfast meeting. Like I said, for those who will join us later, this is a very historic event for AAET. And the cause of it is because of the pandemic. It has accelerated our digitization of everything that we do. Wherever you are, whether you are in an affluent country or in a developing or in a poor country, it has actually accelerated the change. And I think that we being the thought leaders for ASEAN, I think it's our responsibility to bring this very fast digitization of everything that we do down to our the people of our own country. That's one role that we should play. Now, I think the ASEAN Green Award, the main purpose of the ASEAN Green Award was to actually use for two purposes. One is to the climate change that we are experiencing now. We already thought about this many years ago under the MDG, Millennium Development Goal. One of the core activity that people like us must have is to bring awareness that this is going to happen, climate change is going to happen. But we did not anticipate the pandemic, we anticipate climate change. We were not so clever at that time, Then we started this many years ago, and we thought that besides climate, besides just trying to save the world for everybody, for our next generation, what is the motivation factor? The motivating factor, we must all admit, money is the motivating factor. So because of that, we partnered with MCC, Malaysian China Chamber of Commerce, China Chamber of Commerce, put in the business aspect, business aspects, and we work together very well. So it has got two objectives. One is to save the world. The other one is to create business activity. But the business activity is focused on green technology, not any other type of business activity. For example, Dr. Joseph Lim is very much into those waste renewable, the recycling of waste and everything, and he became one of the winners because and because of that. And even we also target at young entrepreneurs below the age of 40, so that they can more time to contribute to the world. If you give it to a person like me, I may not last very long, so not much contribution to the world. So we need below 40. And the most important thing in our judging criteria is whatever the activity of the person is, it must be something that is sustainable and resilient. So if you check back on all the winners in the past, they were all they are involved in activities that are going to contribute not only to climate change, but it's going to be something that is sustainable and is very resilient against all kinds of natural disasters. So, but what we did it in a very simple way. We just got a simple committee which was headed by me, because the idea actually came from me and Dr. Hong, and I continue to head this committee. I hope that very soon someone can take over. I can then go backwards and be just an advisor. So as far as I'm concerned, the ASEAN Green Award has been very, very successful. But we lack the ability. We don't have the financial capability to make use of whatever we created. So now by going digital, we don't need much money anymore. We can do it now. This is the time to restart. We can connect with each other, try to come up with many programs that can be very, very interactive, develop a very good collaborative platform, starting from whatever we have already. We have about 38 winners, I think. It's a very good start. And then we spread sideways. We have talked about it many times ago. We were at those days we were talking of website and all these things. That is already obsolete already. Today you can just go on Zoom, you can see everybody. No need to go website and all these things. And Joseph Lim, Dr. Joseph Lim was supposed to be the captain. Somehow or other, he was too busy making money, he forgot about it. Sorry, Joseph. Yeah, in jest,
Fine. Yeah.
So we have got a very talented group, which not only talented in their own self, but also the business sector will be very interested in you. Because, for example, like the natural dye that the Philippines winner is producing, I think that will become something very big, Just besides you driving it, we have a lot of fellows who are also big-time entrepreneurs. Those people, some of them may be also venture capitalists, So when you need money, you need market, I think they should be able to introduce you to it, so that you can actually exploit whatever knowledge that you have brought. You have discovered. So that is basically the background of our ASEAN Green Award. So we hope that once we do it this time, we should be able to even include the country that we are trying very hard to get in is Laos. For some reason, we have not been able to get some very excited representative from Laos. So amongst yourself, you may have friends who may want to become an associate or fellow of AAET, and then we can then from Laos, then we can probably make him our contact person. Now, every one of you are champions of the ASEAN Green Award, because without your advocation, we will never be able to expand it anymore. So temporarily, you will notice that it will appear that the new leader that's going to take over is our Yao Jiafeng. So give him a small clap so that he won't run away. Well done, Jiafeng. Jiafeng has been doing very well in the ASEAN region under the platform of the ASEAN Federation of Engineering Organization. Among themselves, the young engineers of ASEAN, they already came up with the inspectorate, the electrical inspectorate manual. So these are the things that actually thought leaders like us can do. We can come up with all these guidelines, which is useful for all the countries. And we work very closely with the ASEAN Federation of Engineering Organization. We can also work very closely with all the other professional bodies. Now, just a little bit about myself, what I'm doing now, which can be useful to you all now, is that I have been actually appointed by 2 Prime Ministers of Malaysia to be Malaysian champion in enhancing the productivity of professional services. So the first Prime Minister to appoint me was Mr. Najib. The second Prime Minister was Mr. Mahathir. And the third Prime Minister, maybe I'm still there as the country's champion. And when they have our National Productivity Council meeting, maybe I'll get appointed again by the third Prime Minister. So quite interesting venture. So I'm also very much in touch with the promotion of productivity of professional services, which through AAET, I would like to share with all of you. Because I'm very lucky in the fact that the government allocate 5 million ringgit for me to use over the next 5 years, just for the purpose of looking at ways and means of how we can make professional services more productive. So this is some area I think we can share this experience that I've gained with all of you, but we put it through the AAET platform. Okay, thank you very much. I think I shouldn't talk too long. I should now give, it's a breakfast chatting. I should now pass over to our future leader of the group, a young man. Still, I call you young man. 40 plus is young. Chao Fong, please, you can take over as the moderator.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you to Engineer Chu, also my sifu in the ASEAN fraternity. And of course, thanks for the welcoming speech by Engineer Chu, who's also the current AAET Vice President, and of course, the Chairman of the Steering Committee of the AAET Green Award 2021. Now, warm welcome to fellow speakers of today, who are also the winners of the previous Green Award, especially in 2011, fellow members of AAET as well as other participants today. I'd like to welcome all of you to the first ever Green Award Breakfast Chat series with our past winners, to let you know about why they are winners in the previous sessions, and of course share with you their experiences, especially to become an entrepreneur and also a green entrepreneur itself. Now, a bit of house rules before I introduce the speakers today. We hope that all of you will mute your microphone throughout the event, and we will give you a chance to actually ask questions to the speakers at the end of the session, which after 4 speakers have spoken today. There'll be a Q&A session. You can either put up your mic and of course ask the questions, or you can put also in the chat room. So we are open. So it's just a breakfast chat. So we allow all of you to actually speak as well later. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as Engineer Chu has mentioned, AAET is a gathering point of fellowship of policymakers, engineers, and of course industrialists from academy, public and private sectors of ASEAN countries. So we have about 320 fellows who are all eminent engineers and technologists from all the 10 ASEAN countries. Okay, and of course, one of the event is none other than AAET Green Awards. It has been a permanent event since 2021, and to encourage more young green entrepreneurs among each other, today we are commencing with the AAET Breakfast Chat series, inviting the past winners, as well as a later part of the Breakfast Chat. I'll also introduce you to the Green Award 2021, and hope that some of you may be able to participate or encourage young entrepreneurs to participate in these Green Awards and be part of our family. So for a start, today we have 4 speakers to share all of you their experiences with all of you today. And the 4 speakers is none other than we have Dr. Heng Sok Bill from Cambodia, Dr. Joseph Lim from Malaysia, Dr. Lee Po Sing from Singapore, as well as Dr. Julius from Philippines. Now, without wasting more time, let me introduce the first speaker of the day, who is none other than my good friend as well. I know him since I think 15 years ago, Dr. Heng Sok Bill, the advisor of Supreme National Economic Council, SNEC Cambodia. He's also an AAET fellow, very actively involved in AAET Cambodia chapter. He's none other than Dr. Heng Sok Bill. He's giving a topic today, green urban and land development. Okay, so Dr. Heng, are you ready?
Thank you, Chairman.
Yeah, you can take over the control.
Hello, can you hear me clearly?
Yes, clear.
Okay, good. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Engineer Chu Kok Beng. Hi, Joseph.
Speak a little bit louder, please.
Hi.
Hello, everyone. Long time no see.
Yes. You
Okay,
look
hope
the same,
everyone.
very handsome. Yeah.
Fine. So, yeah.
Very good.
Well, it is not so experienced with webcam, but it's okay. We start from time to time during this COVID pandemic. And take this opportunity, I would like to talk about my experience almost 10 years ago with other Green Award country winner. By the time I just fresh graduate PhD from Japan, so I just came back and start working, and by the same time we start to create the chapter of AAET Cambodia. So I was one recommended by senior to apply for the Green Award, and I choose to choose the topic of land improvement. But this time, I also integrate my topic to become a green urban and land development. So I can briefly talk about urban green city infrastructure for serving approximately 30% of total population of 17 million people, Cambodian population. So rapid pace of unstructured urbanization is generating significant social, economic, and environmental challenge. Urban growth stress including lack of power, informal settlement, deficient water supply, wastewater treatment, urban flooding, air pollution, and municipal solid waste management. So green urban development intervention will be required to reap social economic benefit through green job creation in manufacturing sector, for example, wastewater treatment, energy efficiency, population control, public health benefit by reducing the urban hazard associated with deteriorating air quality, water pollution, and manage waste and traffic congestion. Investment in green growth-related infrastructure in secondary city along major economic corridor will drive productivity, fluid labor market, greater market access, and improve and inequitable mobility. So we develop the urban city by considering the green and the green solution. For example, we have to find more efficiency of energy. We control the solid waste, also wastewater treatment. But currently, we still face a lot of issue about this one. And we also talking about land development in Cambodia due to the rapid population growth and economic. We had created many satellite city, and with this development, some part we need land reclamation from part of river, lake, and those development also affect the also create some issue for flooding. So those issues we all need to solve in balancing between economic and environment. So due to this shorter time, I just raised some issue, and we working on it and to find the best solution and attract more investment to have on those issues in Cambodia, especially in Phnom Penh city and also suburban area in Cambodia. So in short, I might take to discussion more on the discussion session. So I should brief and end at this time, and I give to other speakers. Thank you, Chairman, and thank you for participants. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hink, for such a good introduction, especially the opportunities in Cambodia. We will discuss further in the discussion session. And let us move on to our next speaker. And I also noticed one of our senior members has just joined, Dr. Lydia from Philippines. Right? Yeah. Welcome, Dr. Lydia. Okay. And okay, let's move on to our next speaker. The next speaker is from Malaysia. He is none other than Dr. Joseph Lim, who is the current Vice President of the Malaysia-China Chamber of Commerce, MCCC. And he is also a founder of and also managing director of a very prominent renewable energy company in Malaysia, Global Green Synergies and Jam Berhad. And he's going to touch on from waste to wealth, how to generate money from waste to wealth. So without further ado, let me welcome Dr. Joseph Lim from Malaysia to share with us his topic today.
Okay, happy morning to all of you. And I would like to say thank you to all my, can be say fellows and old friends, okay? And need to say sorry, apologies to our engineer Chu as well. I really forget that I'm the patron to form up the past winners categories. Okay, so I will liaison with young people. Okay, Mr. Yao and also our newly Dr. KK Folk. Okay, so yeah, okay. Today's sharing will be more towards waste to wealth. Once when I started this company about 10 years ago, okay, my philosophy is things that people don't want, I want, and things that people refuse to do, I do. So it means that my concept is to turn waste to wealth. Okay, so knowing that next slide, knowing that in Malaysia there is a lot of waste. Okay, so beside of my this is my portfolios. Okay, so GGS Inside Think Tanks, Rui Residence is a development company, and Good Luck Kopitiam. I have few kopitiams coming up, and even during this pandemic, okay, we managed to open a new kopitiam in Malaysia. Okay, so you are welcome to go to my kopitiam and stated that you are from AAET, then you may get your discount or present. Okay, so next slide. So this is the waste from Malaysia, knowing that Malaysia is flooded by palm oil. But when you walk into the palm oil mill or even the palm plantation, you may see a lot of waste. So there is an empty fruit branch, so-called fibers, oil palm trunk when you do the replanting, PKS, palm kernel shell, palm oil mill, effluent water, and even the palm leaf. Okay, next. So by all this waste is about 80 million tons of waste, which created for the nature, and also it become a burden for the country to handle all this waste. So this is why Global Green Synergy GGS for the past 10-15 years, we are mainly focused on turning the biomass, especially from palm biomass, into various products. Okay, next. So first product that we have successfully for the past more than 10 years is palm long fibers. It is from the anti-fruit bunches and then go through the process of fiber separating, and then the sieving, drying, sieving again, and then building. And we send to China and turn into like, for example, the inner layer for mattress, erosion control, fiber matting, and also for planting as well. Okay, next. We have a few long fiber factory stated at the state of Perak. Okay, and beside of that, long fibers for at the beginning in the year 2005 to 2010, it is a very good product and very good margin. Okay, but as of today, the margin and the pricing are dropping. I still remember at the year of 2008 and 2010, the highest pricing is about $350 per ton, okay, for the same product. But for today, the same product is about less than $150 per ton. So you can imagine that you may have a blue ocean at year 2010, but you may not get the same blue ocean by 2020. We need to innovate and turn into others product and higher value. This is important in the green industry. Okay, so next. So for the past, we managed to work with the China Asean group. Asean is one of the top leading company in Beijing who doing the Green the Desert project. Okay, if you all come across in the month of June, July, and August, Beijing having the sandstorm from the Kubuchi Desert. Okay, so we are working with a Asean group by applying our Malaysia waste, the palm fiber, turn into fiber matting to cover the desert and let the desert to green the grass. Okay, so it become a natural prevention for the sandstorm. So this is a very proud project for Malaysian company to be involved into this kind of huge environmental project. Okay, next. So yeah, the next project is Biocompost. Biocompost, we are a very pioneer, more than 10, 12 years in Malaysia doing the organic fertilizer. Okay, this product, yes, is good for environment, but for as an entrepreneurs or even for business wise, the margin is not that good. It's not that good, but it's really good for the environmental. For example, for the dry long fiber project plus the biocompost project, these two projects, we managed to reduce the carbon emission by about 100,000 metric ton per year of CO2 emission. So I would like to bring up the issue of as entrepreneurs, we are not only looking for margin, we should also taking care of our Mother Earth. And this is also part of our corporate responsibility. And CSR, I also hope that all entrepreneurs, we should look into sustainable and a greener world as well. Okay, next. Okay, for the past 2-3 years, we are very focused on our biogas project. And yes, we are lucky. We managed to get, in total, we get about five license on the renewable energy. End up, 3 license has been withdrawn, or 3 license has been withdrawn. And this is due to we are lack of experience. And we also facing a lot of challenging in the renewable energy project. But we managed to, after the 2 to 3 years, we managed to fit in the first biogas project in the 2020 June, on the month of June. So very lucky. We found out that for the 2 megawatt or for the 2 megawatt biogas project, we managed to generate about close to about 10 million ringgit of turnover per year, okay, for the feed-in tariff on the FIT. So this makes us blink, that think out of the box. That, I never think about by about two people for the, okay, so to generate a 2 megawatt, we only need about 2 workers for 2 shifts to manage the control panels. Then every year we need some outsource the maintenance team to do the cleaning up and the maintenance. So I never think about that. Only 2 people can generate about close to 10 million turnover a year, just alone for the 2 megawatt project. So this makes us our mind to speed up our second project on the 4 megawatt. Okay, we not yet finished on our another 4 megawatt biogas project, but this make us make us the confidence and experience to speed up our next 4 megawatt project. Okay, next. So you're knowing that in the palm oil mill, I think most of the palm oil mill and every palm oil mill, they have the palm oil mill effluent. So from the mill effluent water, we turn into the biogas fermentation. This is a tank system. But for my experience, for tank system alone, it's a bit difficult for you to get the full yield of the methane. So we are, for our new system, we are integrate the tank system and the canvas system from the effluent water. So then from there, we can turn into the combustion, gas engine, then into the power grid. Okay, next. So this is our license. Okay, the second 4 megawatt is the work in progress. Okay, we are not yet connected. It's only work in progress. So, but for the first 2 megawatt at Songhai Ground project, we already fit in by the month of June this year. So we find out that it's a very good return. It's a very good return and sustainable, because for your information, in Malaysia, as a FIT approver, you will get the TNB, the Tenaga Nasional Company, to sign 16 years, okay, for committed to buying the power from you. So this is some good project in Malaysia. Okay, next. Yeah, this is 2011, almost 10 years ago, on the AAET golden at the time. Okay, the name is as Golden Green Award, and then and also at the same years, I managed to get another award at the World Creative Young Entrepreneur Awards by the European Union at Belgium. Okay, so next is another award from Hong Kong. Next. So my experience on the green industry is innovation. Without innovation, and we need to innovation is non-stop. We need to keep on innovate and innovate. Then only can be make the world better. So on the innovation, I have a 4S philosophy to drive me on the innovation. Okay. For example, I'm not an engineer. I am not technical people, but the first S is synergize. We as entrepreneurs or technopreneurs, we should always know how to synergize the talents, the people together. So the first S is synergize. So from the first synergize, then we come into the second S, synchronize. You may get all the talents, but how to get them synchronized into one team and deliver things for the achievement is very important. So the second S is synchronize. And the third S is to simplify. We need to simplify everything, okay, into a model or a SOP. Then the last S is systemize. So only system can drive you longer and drive you further. This is my 4S philosophy. So I not only talk about the good things, I would like to also share some of the challenging for the past 10 years. First thing, I have a lot of projects which is we fail and we lose money. The first project is pump pellets. Okay, pellet is a very good product, and this is a future energy products. Okay, but we are lack of this R&D, so we lose money in our pump pellet project. And pump pellet project, pellet from pump EFP is not mature yet. I will say it's not mature yet because the wear and tear for the machine is very high. So it may take some time to further to come up for commercializer. So, and then I will say that for the past 10 years, with my personal ego, sometimes I'm too ego, and this bring me back to the to be more realistic. This is important. So I think this is some of my sharing. I hope that can bring you some good or to inspiring, okay, some of our audience here. Thank you.
Thank you once again to Dr. Joseph. Very impressive presentation, especially the 4S. I think we have learned a lot today, and also we would definitely hope that we could visit you at the Kopitiam soon after our CMCO is no more in Malaysia. So I think let's move on to our next speaker. Thanks again, Dr. Joseph. We move on to our next speaker of the day, who is from Singapore, Dr. Lee. Dr. Lee Po Seng is the Director of Center for Energy Research and Technology, Program Director for Cooling Energy Science and Technology Singapore. Okay. Associate Professor, he is also the Associate Professor of the Department of Mechanical Engineering of National University of Singapore.
Can you my
yeah.
Yeah, okay, great.
So
Okay.
I'll hand over the control to Dr. Lee Po Seng, who will be talking about high efficiency liquid cooling for sustainable data centers. So Dr. Lee, the floor is yours. You can take over the control.
Okay, sure. Thank you. Yeah, so today I'll be sharing my group's work on high efficiency liquid cooling for sustainable data center. So the MCF kind of introduced me. I'll go direct to providing the background. So basically what we are trying to do is actually to replace the conventional air cooling with liquid cooling. So in doing so, you'll be able to effectively manage the chip temperature, and the net result is actually a significant reduction in your chip power. So doing so, not only you improve on the cooling system energy efficiency, but you also reduce on the total power consumption for the IT hardware. So in doing so, you'll be able to significantly reduce the overall power consumption for data center, as well as the associated carbon footprint. Yeah, so this slide basically shows a trend in terms of the chip development. So over the years, the chip TDP, which is the thermal, the design power, has increased very rapidly. So now it's actually in the range of about 600 watts. So it's at a range that conventional air cooling is not able to handle effectively. So that's why there's a lot of interest to develop more effective cooling solution. And that's what my group has been focusing over the past 13 years. So some of the key challenges that we are hoping to address in sustaining the data centers here in the tropics or in ASEAN are actually given in this slide. So first, associated with our tropical climatic conditions, we have both high temperature as well as high humidity, right? So the net outcome is actually the act of powering and cooling data center is actually very energy sapping. So it actually consumes a lot of energy. Second is actually, it also means that a lot of water will be consumed, because typically when you operate data center, you need to make use of cooling tower to discharge the waste heat to the ambient, right? So that's why besides the high power consumption, there's also this challenge associated with the high water consumption.
Dr. Lee, your slides is not moving. Maybe yep.
Oh, so sorry. I think probably I kind of share with you the. Let me stop. Give me a minute. So sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Now okay.
Okay. Let me turn mode. Okay. Yeah. And. So sorry. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Can you see this screen? Yeah.
Yes.
The key challenges in. Okay. So sorry. Okay. Maybe if you allow me, I will just run through the previous slide. Yeah, but it's mainly just the background. Yeah. Let me go back to the previous slide. Okay, there's a title. Yeah, so just now I was actually providing the background for what work, right? So basically to replace the conventional air cooling with liquid cooling, because the server power is actually increasing over the years. So we are now at a state where air cooling is actually not able to effectively handle the high power that is dissipated by the CPU and GPU chips. Right? So that led to a lot of interest in the development of more effective and higher performance cooling solutions. So I was actually explaining the key challenges in operating data center sustainably here in the tropics, right? Because of our climatic conditions. So we actually have both high temperature as well as high humidity, right? That actually makes the act of operating a data center here very energy sapping, as well as requiring a very high level of water consumption, right? Because when you discharge the waste heat to the ambient, you typically operate cooling towers, which consumes a significant amount of water. And this is actually make more severe because over time, the rack density is actually increasing. So meaning that over time, more and more power and more water will be actually consumed. So one of the technology that my group has developed over the years is actually the Oblique fin liquid cooling technology. So this slide basically provides some of the background information. So we're actually comparing a conventional straight fin heatsink versus our oblique fin heatsink. So what is actually trying to show that by modulating flow across the fin structure, we are able to significantly reduce the boundary layer, thereby leading to very effective cooling performance. So the figure on the right actually shows a heatsink that we actually fabricated and has bedded in the local data center. So this next slide basically shows the benchmarking that we did, comparing the so-called energy efficiency versus the performance, right? So you want to be at a position which is actually closest to the origin, because that's where you have the highest performance coupled with a highest energy efficiency, right? So when we actually compare our solution versus those that are available in the market, right? So you see that our performance chart is actually closest to the origin, thereby showing that it can concurrently achieve the highest performance together with the highest efficiency. So this is an actual server that we actually retrofitted with our liquid cooling solutions. So it actually comprises of 4 GPU chips, which are the NVIDIA RTX 2080 with a TDP of 215 watts and a Intel EPYC 755P CPU, right? So in total, each server is actually dissipating close to 1.1 kilowatt, right? So by just using air cooling, the junction temperature is actually typically about 85 degrees Celsius. But once you actually switch from air cooling to high performance liquid cooling, then your junction temperature will drop by almost 40 degrees Celsius. And why is it actually interesting is because when your junction temperature drops by 30 to 40 degrees Celsius, your server power actually drops between 35 to 50%. So means it becomes very energy efficient to operate your server or your IT hardware. Okay, so this is the full system that we actually test bedded, right? So we have one rack of 20 high performance computing servers, right? Then this is actually the liquid cooling system that we retrofit into the server, right? And this shows the water or liquid cooling as mentioned. So we still have a small amount of air cooling because you still have heat coming from the passive components. So in terms of value proposition, so our solution, which we call the liquid cool compute pod, right? So they have a number of advantages. First, it actually does not require chill water supply or air conditioning. So basically it allows your data center to operate without any chiller, right? Second, it does not actually require raised floor and ceiling return. So for those of you who are familiar with data center, you know that typically data center actually require quite a bit of infra investment, right? Because you need to actually build the raised floor, you need to build the ceiling return. But for this solution, you can pretty much eliminate all of this infra investment. That it actually requires a minimal water consumption because it's a closed loop. So in fact, we don't even need to use a cooling tower. So instead of cooling tower, we just need a dry cooler. So in doing so, basically, this will lead to very substantial savings in terms of the water consumption. And the fourth is actually, it actually takes full advantage of existing air-cooled infrastructure. So this is very attractive because for brownfield data center, right? So you can't expect the operator to throw away the infra investment that they have committed, right? So that's why it's actually highly advantageous if we can actually ride on the existing air cooling infrastructure and still be able to achieve 30 to 40% improvement in terms of the total power consumption. And last but not least, it actually allows a very high or mixed density IT hardware, so thereby actually allowing your data center to be more scalable and expandable. So next slide basically shows the actual data that we measure in one of the data center. So what is actually very interesting is actually associated with the very high performance and efficiency liquid cooling. It actually led to almost 50% reduction in your server power consumption, right? So we actually shown that you can achieve a 48.2% reduction in your IT power. So in doing so, it means that it now becomes very cost effective to actually operate your data center. So we actually did a calculation of a PUE, which is the power usage effectiveness. So typically for data center operating in ASEAN, right? So the PUE level is actually about 2 or sometimes even 2.2, right? The more efficient one can go down to about 1.4. But you look at the liquid cool solution, right? It actually allows your data center to achieve a PUE of 0.7. So if you take a baseline of 1.4, so this is actually a 50% reduction in terms of the power usage effectiveness. So by adopting this technology, your data center will be actually very cost effective in terms of the operating cost. So the next tool is basically the system configuration that we came up with. Because obviously for data center is a mixed bag, so we can have both greenfield data center, which are new data center, as well as brownfield data center. So besides our component innovation, we have come up with the system configuration that would greatly facilitate the adoption of such new and innovative cooling solutions to make our data center more sustainable. Okay, so this is the configuration for brownfield data center, which is actually pretty interesting because it actually doesn't require making any infra changes to your data center. So you can instantly convert your existing brownfield data center to support the liquid cool servers and racks without any infra changes. So the next slide actually shows a comparison in terms of total power consumption, which I briefly alluded to just now. So depending on your ICT load, right, so you can see that the amount of total power consumption savings can actually ranges from 30 to 50%. So that means that your total cost of ownership in operating such liquid cool data center will be actually much lower compared to your conventional air cool data center. Okay, and the associated CO2 emission, because nowadays, obviously ASEAN's countries are also very concerned about how to make our industry more sustainable, right? So besides the very attractive reduction in terms of your total power consumption as well as the energy requirement, is also the CO2 emission, right? So both the CO2 emission or the carbon footprint will be substantially lower, right, associated with the adoption of a liquid cooled data center. So we are now actually in the process of productization, because we have incorporated a company, Coolers DC, and we are now working closely with server manufacturer in order to get fast traction for this solution. So we want to basically work closely with server manufacturers so that we actually integrate our liquid cooling solution into their IT hardware, right? So such that they becomes an off-the-shelf product or one of the SKU in their product catalog. Because for a startup, it's actually very challenging for us to have a very big sales and marketing team, right? But if it becomes one of the SKU in the server manufacturer product catalog, then we can actually write on their existing sales and marketing channels. So this next slide is basically kind of a repetition of what I mentioned. So these are actually the 5 advantages associated with our liquid cooling solution. So in the interest of time, I'll probably just skip this. But to the end user or to our customer, so what really matters are the outcomes. So the outcome is actually in terms of increased bottom line, because your total cost of ownership for your data center is now so much lower. So second is associated with the better control of your junction or chip temperature. You're able to actually compute faster and longer, right? And last but not least, obviously, it's the associated environmental protection, as well as the ability to meet the ESG goals. So that comes to the conclusion of my presentation. Okay, thank you for your attention.
Thank you once again to Dr. Lee for an interesting presentation on data center cooling. Yeah, thank you again, Dr. Lee, for such a good presentation on data center cooling, which I believe data center is on the rise now because of more and more usage of data center for today. Just like us today, Zoom, we are actually on the platform of data and of course data transfer and so on. So once again, thank you, Dr. Lee. We will go on to our final speaker, none other than from Philippines, Dr. Julius Lieno. Just a bit on Dr. Julius. He's a Chief Science Research Specialist, Research and Development Division, R&D of the Philippine Textile Research Institute of the Department of Science and Technology, Philippines. Now he's going to share with us the Philippine natural textiles and dyes toward an inclusive, creative, and circular economy. So now we'd like to invite Dr. Julius onto the screen to present to us his presentation. Over to you, Dr. Julius.
Good morning. Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Am I coming in clear?
Loud and clear.
Thank you. Yeah. Greetings from the Philippines, Mabuhay. Welcome. I am Julius Eliano Jr., as mentioned earlier. So I was also part of the 2021 Golden Green awardees, the first batch, I guess. And let me proceed. Okay, this was during the awarding. If you could recall the pictures back then, that's me in the brown jacket over there. Also dyed with natural dyes, as Engineer Chu was mentioning a while ago. And this was me receiving the award in Malaysia. And yeah, so much has changed, guys. So this is me back then, my wife and 2 of my kids. And now, yes, still have 1 wife and now 3 kids. And my team was a very small team back then, still very young, much hair. And now it has expanded. So it means like very constant change. And a lot of things has also been progressing quite fast and quite very well. So I would like to walk you through Philippine natural textiles and dyes toward an inclusive, creative, and circular economy. So quite huge words there, but let me go through it. This is a story, so don't be too just relax and let's go over it. The slides will be very fast, but I'd just like you to to enjoy each of the slide and the story that goes with it. So the Department of Science and Technology is like your Ministry of Science and Technology, and under it are research and development institutes. And one of the 7 is actually devoted to textiles. That's where I belong, the Philippine Textile Research Institute. And particularly on textiles, we work on 2 things. One, natural textiles, and second is on natural dyes. And under this, we have what I call IC2 or IC2. It also sounds like I see it too. And it means inclusive, it is creative, it is for the creatives, and also a circular, for the circular economy. So this basically becomes the mantra of these R&D programs in trying to make a dent in Philippine society and the Philippine economy. So one of these projects or one of these programs is actually hinged on the natural textile fiber transformation. We have a huge and vast natural resources. The question is, how do you liberate them from the ground? We have been working extensively on pineapple fibers, for example. They do not come from the crown of the pineapples, it comes from the pineapple plant. Normally it doesn't fruit anymore after some time. The banana, once you get the banana fruit, it will not bear fruits anymore. So it becomes agricultural waste. And this becomes the starting material of a range of technologies that converts them from a fiber source or a textile fiber source all the way to a fabric. And this technology has been the centerpiece of PTRI's long-standing R&D programs in converting our local resources, primarily agricultural byproducts, into something that has economic value. The one in the middle is the cottonization of these fibers, meaning this could be extruded or this could already be used in the transformation or in the development of textile yarns. We have what we call a Republic Act in the Philippines as tropical fabric law. This is marvelous in the sense that it actually mandates all government employees to wear local fabrics. And these fabrics actually contain at the very least 5% of any of the fibers I mentioned a while ago: banana, pineapple, abaca, maybe silk, and cotton. And you would actually imagine about 1.8 million government employees is a captive market of this law, and it's a captive market of the technology that we have developed. And if you multiply this with a very meager 6,000 pesos, I don't know, 6,000 pesos is barely over $100 US. That is our clothing allowance per year. If you multiply 1.8 million employees, that's a 10.8 billion or about a 200 million US dollars. That's the amount of money getting in just to the uniforms of government employees. And it's huge. It's enough to revive the textile industry in the Philippines. One of the things that I'd like to share to you as a development from the last time that I presented was that I don't know if you remember, I mentioned about water hyacinth as one of the textile fibers that we did develop then. Now we have developed bamboo. This is very different from the one that you get from China. China gets it from regenerated bamboo. This one, we get it from the trunk. So we work with the trunk of the bamboo, the culm as we call it, convert and extract the fibers by mechanochemical means and be able to get a spinnable form of the fiber and be able to get them into fabrics. And as a matter of fact, I failed to include the picture of our Minister of Science and Technology. He did use already one jacket that was made out of this technology or out of this product. And we are now gearing up because a lot of interest has already been generated at the very least locally. So these are our new, one of our new center piece developments. Now, if you want to look at it on the number side, you are seeing here 5 kilograms. If you buy the poles from somewhere else, that's 5 kilograms only, and one pole is just about about less than $10. But if you convert them into this transformation, and you can see here the huge bar graph for the spinnable fiber, it's about 1,000 pesos per kilogram. That's about 20 US dollars per kilogram. And you imagine that value transformation that can happen on the ground, meaning farmers are involved, communities are hugely involved. And you can see here this being the enabler of an industry downstream that could enable the development of yarns and fabrics for onward application. Now, one of our more interesting development on this type of materials, the water repellent technology, it falls under our Smart Textiles R&D program, one that I started as soon as I got the 2011 award. When I get back, this was one of my newest projects. And would you believe that 9 years after when the technology was developed, it came to the fore? You know why? We were actually challenged during the quarantine, the community quarantine in the Philippines, to develop something that could be rolled out to industry and to the Filipino people, protecting them from the virus. And what we have developed is what we call the rewear mask. This is actually a reusable, washable, rewearable face mask. And it uses now the material that we have developed, the textile material that we have developed, and the water repellent outer layer that I showed in the previous slide. So this is, ladies and gentlemen, you would see some of the technologies getting relevant in such a very trying times. And I must say that the COVID-19 pandemic has actually brought textiles at the center of the discussion. And if you look at community face masks, there are no standards other than the one given by WHO. And through this project, we were able to guide the Philippine government in coming up with a minimum standard for community face masks. These are the masks that, you know, an ordinary sewer in the, you know, on the side street would actually be doing. And giving them this standard actually levels up the quality of protection that this actually provides. Having said that, through this project, we were now able to deploy 500,000 pieces of this rewearable face mask to the frontline government agencies. And these are basically the ones that were reporting when the time that we were actually on lockdown. And yeah, this guy here, this young guy here is actually a researcher. He's not a model. He's one of the researchers that I work with in this project. Now, other than that, we also have the non-woven textiles, meaning these are the ones that does not go into your weaving or knitting. And we did have developed the incorporation of banana, pineapple, and abaca fibers into non-woven materials, as shown here, and also render them water repellent for possible filtration applications. As a matter of fact, one of the most low-hanging fruits was actually the disinfecting mats that you normally step on when you enter buildings, right? We have already developed locally made fibers from this. It is shown here in this slide, and what's actually interesting is that these mats could already be just thrown away, simply because they're all biodegradable. It is not your typical, you know, polypropylene, polyethylene mats that you would not actually imagine to degrade in the next 25, even 100 years. But this one, these are all natural materials. Once they're worn out, you're just ready to go. And also, the development of filters, the HEPA filters and even our antiviral filters, we were actually targeting not for human consumption, but actually for the poultry and agriculture industries. You would see here some of our poultry and livestock industries also needing filters for the flow of air in their farms. And this was one of the initial contacts of this filtration technology. Here we use the banana trunk as a source of this filtration material. Another interesting one was the electrospun cellulose acetate. This is a little technical, but it goes all the way to using it for wound healing. So we were able to incorporate a drug, that could actually facilitate wound healing. And remember, cellulose acetate is a natural material that actually also integrates quite well in the skin. It's not a foreign material, hence there's no rejection. And we are actually in the middle of doing this with a hospital here in the Philippines. Other application of the fibers that we have been working on, and this is quite new, I mean, new means it's about 2 years old, is that we have developed and extracted the cellulose nanocrystals from this fiber. These cellulose nanocrystals became the template of, you know, a chromophore, a pigment. This is the CNC. We made it as a template of the pigment. The pigment actually is interesting because you cannot see it in normal light, but you can see it under UV light. So you might be wondering what applications does it have. So let me share it to you. This yarn looks ordinary, but if you want to authenticate this one as something that, you know, would have to mean something, you put this exact CNC material in it, and you could actually see it glow under UV light. Where does this actually find applications? We want to use it for our traditional textiles. We want to authenticate them. We don't want people to be copying our heritage textiles. Put them here, and I will tell you right into your face that that is a Philippine-made material made by this weaver, and exactly that same authentication. We also guard our, you know, our traditional weavers of their intellectual properties. Also, of course, our fabric developments, and more importantly, even for our security forces. Would you believe to be in a checkpoint, and the one in the checkpoint is not actually a legitimate military officer? Imagine just shining, for example, a blue light under nameplates, and you would actually know, oh, this is a real officer. So those are applications of a technology that normally you'd rather dismiss it as a pure scientific, you know, engagement. But see, it moves from the cultural all the way to national security applications. Having said that, I leave it there. There are so many more stories, but I want to jump to my to the sweet spot. This is actually the one that I grew up with, the natural dyes R&D program of my institute. And after 2011, I myself was the one who designed this trademark. It's already registered in the Intellectual Property Office of the Philippines. We are using it to denote and to authenticate as well the natural dyes that we have developed over the years. And I'm happy and glad to share to you, ladies and gentlemen, that this is now the range of colors that we can develop from natural plant materials, and they are all rendered in local Philippine textiles. What are the highlights ever the last time that this was actually discussed, maybe to AAET? We already have products. They are the ones used for paints, dye powders, and also our pigment inks. And then we have publications in our intellectual properties that are now becoming the Bible, as we want to call it, for natural dye application in the Philippines. The applications has ranged from textiles. If you could see the pictures a little closely, you will see here cosmetics. We went already crossed over to cosmetics. We crossed over to food and even to food supplements. And the technologies, of course, becomes the centerpiece of all these developments, still going from 100 dye sources, natural plant sources. We have now managed to screen 150. Now, this is just a story of how real these things are. This is actually taken in 2009, but this is just to show you how far do we go on our part to reach out communities in order for these technologies to become useful. And you know, the lady in the far right here is actually one of the new chemists that I was working with. This is a very real experience when you really get in touch with the communities. And you see here the guy in the middle reading my book, how very satisfying and gratifying it is that it actually finds application and finds relevance to their own livelihood. And after that, I'm very happy also to share to you that the Natural Dye Center is now in our institute. This is actually a business incubation facility for natural dyes. It is the Center of Color Development and Innovation in the Department of Science and Technology. And I must say, maybe in the entire Philippines, this serves as a nerve center of all these developments. One classic example of how this has actually impacted communities is this. Imagine this very lush green paradise up in the mountains. Would you believe that a product of them made it to crate and barrel? This is actually the runner that you could see, the brown runner that you could see here. It's actually dyed with the bark of a tree. And this engagement actually involved 100 weavers. And I'm talking about your handloom weavers. Barangays are villages. There are 6 barangays that were involved in this project. 3 dye sources were used, a bark, I think guava leaves was also used, and another leaf was used. They were able to produce 14,000 meters of fabric, their own local fabric, and they were able to sell it by about 500,000 pesos. That could probably about 150,000 US dollars. And this is a community. This is not an industrial scale thing. And then they also had the local markets. And since this engagement, we had about 45% increase in the participation of active weavers. And this is a real scenario. I'm not talking about a fictional character. These are exactly the people that have benefited from this package of technologies. So what am I trying to drive at? In natural dyes now, we have leveled up a bit from the lab, from lab scale, beakers type of thing. We are into integration. We wanted to use and integrate natural material producers, the users, the product, and the market to talk with each other. We also went to upscaling. Remember, they are doing it, or we're doing it at 1 kilo per batch in the onset. But here now, you would see a regular textile mill processing a mahogany bark extract. They are dyeing a circular knitted shirt material. And you would see here how our technology actually fits the exact design of our textile mills. And this proves that we could actually scale. The one I mentioned partially earlier was diversification. We moved from textiles to cosmetics to nutritional food products and even to food products. Dr. Nuna Almansor here was the former director of 2 of the institute that we worked on 2 of the projects, primarily on cosmetics and on processed foods. So diversification, we are going beyond textiles. Now, standardization, there has to be certain level of reproducibility. Remember, we are working with a very crude raw material. We're getting them from the ground. So for these industries to actually be able to communicate, there has to be a certain level of reproducibility and standardization enabled, but by the very center that I mentioned earlier, the Natural Dye Center becoming the nerve and central facility for these activities. Now, just recently, just 2 days ago, our secretary, our Minister of Science and Technology, conducted a virtual pressure for natural dyes. And I would like to highlight some of those that were mentioned here. This is actually, again, the logo of the dyes project that I have, or that we have. And would you believe that all the colors here, we have put a meaning into it, like cultural preservation, environment conservation, etc. And each of the color actually corresponds to at least one of our SDGs. And like, for example, sustainable cities, and even women empowerment in gender equality as shown here. And the other logos that you see in the bottom are actually also all the other programs that we have. Our Seda Pilipinas, Seda is actually the local term for silk. So we also have Philippine silk being developed on the side. So they all form now the ecosystem by which we want textile technologies and natural dye technologies to be felt by the entire Philippines. This is the rallying mantra of our institute. Textiles empowering lives anew, or tela. Tela is the local term for fabric. So we want it as Tela Pilipinas. It means that the more colors that you would see in the map of the Philippines now, this is the number of interventions that we have. Some are already up and running. Some are about to be funded and started. But we already have the ears of our lawmakers after a very long years of waiting for support. But I think the key here, ladies and gentlemen, is how science actually could be felt by communities. It did not remain in our shelves. It cannot remain there. This is people's money. It has to be felt by the people. And lastly, I would like to highlight that the Philippine Textiles and Dyes, and this is maybe my last slides, that the Philippine Textiles and Dyes is quite unusual in terms of the technology range, in the sense that it is a merging of science, technology, innovation, arts, culture, and the environment. And with this, we tend to be more open to listening to the needs of our communities and to the listening and be able to respond to the needs of the environment. We don't want Mother Earth to be complaining before we start acting. And exactly the technologies that we have been working on are already very conscious about this. And with this, we want to highlight that one of the most central to all these activities is the word kindness. By kindness, we mean not only kind to the things that we work or the people that we work with, but actually also kind to the environment. And by kindness and love, we know that this gears will actually work for us and for everybody, and hopefully the whole of ASEAN will be able to feel it just as well. And with this, maraming salamat po, mabuhay.
Thank you once again to Dr. Julius for such an interesting presentation on natural dyes and so forth. And thank you again to all the 4 speakers who have presented us with a lot of new ideas as well as sharing. I could see actually in the chat room as well. So now let's move on to the open session of Q&A. I would like to invite Engineer Chu back here again. Perhaps Engineer Chu, before we give the questions to people to actually ask, maybe Engineer Chu, you have something to say? I'm sure you have a lot of things to highlight as well as share, especially after the 4 speakers have spoken. Engineer Chu?
Thank you very much. I think if you allow me to speak, I'll take up all the time. But I would like to hear the others' opinion. But in summary, I think the 4 speakers are actually done very, very well. It was beyond our dream when we started this exercise to identify green entrepreneurs. Just the four speakers that spoke today has shown that they have actually benefited and progressed from the time they became a Green Award winner. But I think, and then I also see that from the 4 speakers, there's a lot of experiences in each country that we can share with each other, especially after this pandemic, where we need to assist all the governments, not only in the ASEAN country, but your own country, to recover quickly. So the potential are all there. So one of the things which I wanted to just pose the first question is to Dr. Dato Joseph Lim. You are so much into fibers, but you recycle the fiber. And how about looking at what Dr. Julius is doing? Can you convert all the palm oil fiber into material, into the textiles, especially with the huge amount that we have in Malaysia? They are now only using pineapple and banana. How about considering the fibers from the palm oil estate? Now, in summary, I would say that this is first breakfast talk is something very surprising, like the standard that we have achieved. So no doubt that we are only able to attract about 30 participants this morning. But I think for this kind of interesting talk, that is also got a lot of opportunities for entrepreneurs. I hope that in the future, the numbers will increase tremendously. So I think if I'm not mistaken, this is being recorded. So we will be able to share this probably in YouTube or somewhere. The presentation is really excellent. Thank you very much. So let others have a chance to make some comments and ask some questions. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Engineer Chu. Of course, there's a questions just now to Dr. Joseph and also Julius on the whether the fiber can be used for in Philippines.
Yeah. In fact, this is a brilliant. It's a brilliant ideas. Okay. So for example, we have plenty of fibers which is already in the palm oil mills. Okay. When I say in the palm oil mill, means that it's no need to go and collect. It's everything in the palm oil mill. So it can be easily in one of my factory to set up and convert into fabric. And this is the ideas that to bring the higher value added from the biomass. I truly believe this is a brilliant idea. And thanks for the sharing and our engineer Chu, or those with white hair, but still doing the matching section for all the young entrepreneurs, as myself also as a young entrepreneur. Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you. I think it's a good opportunity for matching as well, and later you can exchange your ideas as well. Okay, let's move on. If let's say there's any questions from the participants today, anyone who wants to actually put up some questions for our speakers today? Anyone from the floor? Or most of the questions are answered in the chat room, is it? Anyone from the floor?
Shafong, can they just unmute themselves if they want to say something?
Yes, they can unmute.
All are able to unmute now, but if you want to say something, raise your hands.
Yep.
And then you unmute yourself, then you will have the mic, you can talk.
Anyone who wants to unmute and you can also raise your hands or put it inside the chat box.
There's one way. Lam.
Yep. It's very interesting presentations, and thank you for all the sharings. I have one question for to the Dr. Lee from NUS regarding the energy cooling for the data center. So I think he's a very important guy with the courage from academic, because just now he showed the email address actually is kind of the spin-off. I think this is a very tough journey from come up from the theory, after that have the spark, and then struggling, then push forward, then set up something, a company, then try to engage with the giants, because I believe that a lot of semiconductor company is interesting on the cooling. Do you mind to share your journey, how to and academics and start off your
Sure. Yeah. Actually, this is my second startup. My first startup didn't work out, so undergoing liquidation right now. So financially, it's actually very painful. No, but I think it's a necessary journey, right? Because I'm an engineer, right? So we are supposed to take technology and convert it into solution, into products. So if I just stop at the publishing papers or making presentation and conferences, I think that is still not real impact. To me, real impact is really getting the industry, getting the people to use my stuff. Yeah. So while the first experience is a mixed bag, right? Obviously, I learned a lot of stuff. It's also a lot of heartaches, right? But I think with all the learning points from the so-called failure, I hope my second venture will have much better chances of success. Yeah. I just got to try it. I don't know how, whether or not you will end up being a so-called the financially the so-called positive venture, but I guess I just have to try, because if I don't try, I never know, right? I don't want to live with this doubt in my head that, okay, what if I've tried, for example, maybe 10 years ago, 20 years ago, right? So I don't want to wait till I'm 60 years old and keep having this doubt in my mind, right? At least I want to give it a shot and see how things pans out.
So I think this is very interesting for me because I'm also from university. So I think I didn't have that much of courage, and you are more forefront than me. So you try on the things and have this second startup. So do you mind to share with us more regarding, because I'm also the engineers, like kind of we good on number on engineering number, but we were quite bad on the number regarding the accounting. So do you have this kind of strugglings and then for sharing, and then how do you slowly understand what's the accounting and financial statement?
Okay, so I guess you're referring more on the business side of things, right? So frankly, I'm not good at that. Yeah, so I have to work with a business partner, right? So for me, I'm still more the technical side, right? So I do need a business partner. So I think it's really about finding the complementary capabilities and someone who you have good chemistry with, right? Trying to do everything ourselves, right? And having 100% of the pie may not make sense, right? Especially if it's a small pie. So I think it's better off than just owning a fraction of a much bigger pie. So I think it's necessary really to work with people who can complement what I'm actually the kind of lagging, right? So I think business side of things is something that I'm still learning. But I think to cut short the learning curve is probably important that we work with somebody who's already in the industry. Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Very nice words and of course advice, especially to academicians in how to commercialize. You have to not only work on your technical, but also the economy as well, how to actually market your products. Thanks, Prof. Lam, for the question. I think we also have actually Dr. Lydia Tan Sin Sin, one of the founder of AAET. Maybe she wants to say something.
Lydia, can you
Dr.
unmute
Lydia?
yourself and say good morning to me? Hi, Lydia. Can you unmute yourself? You are mute now. Can you unmute yourself?
Yes.
Yeah, I can
hi.
hear you now. Yeah.
Would like to congratulate all the presenters for presenting what they have done in
Hello.
Hello.
That AAET has started.
The line is bad.
I think the line is bad for where you are, Lydia.
Oops. Can't hear her. Never mind. I think maybe we'll get her to speak again shortly while we get any other. Hi, Lydia. The line is bad. Couldn't hear her. Okay. Okay. Let's move on to others. Any other questions to our speakers today?
I think what we should aim for, Mr. Moderator, at the end of the day, after this first breakfast meeting, is what is the way forward. You can see that we have fantastic talent, you know.
Yeah.
So what is the role that AAET is going to play in the way forward to continue to propagate and benefit from all the effort that we have put in, get all these talented people awarded, and they are doing well now.
Yeah.
Probably the first thing to do is AAET is a very poor organization. So if from whatever success you have, you allocate a very small little bit of percentage to the coffers of AAET to make it more financially sound. There are many things that we can do together. That is my first suggestion now. In Malaysia, for the construction industry, the government levy a 0.15% on the value of the projects which are more than 500 million. And over time, it has accumulated to hundreds of millions of dollars, where this money is used for making the construction industry more efficient in all ways. So I think in a small way, probably this is one of the suggestions to ensure that AET can be sustainable, and that when we identify young, talented fellows or non-fellows who have contributed, who have benefited from our initiative, we could possibly come up with a scheme where we don't make it mandatory, but we encourage you to put a little bit back into our coffer, so that for the future, for the generations that's going to come after us. So that could be one of the takeaway that we want to do.
I think good suggestion, and perhaps also I think we also like what you have mentioned after today's breakfast chat, like what Dr. Joseph has mentioned, the 4S, we could actually synchronize the speakers to see how we can actually work together in the ASEAN, the AAET fraternity as well. Okay, because everyone has their expertise. And I believe it's also time to look at how to actually benefit from each other as well. You see, 4 speakers can be working together in future maybe. So this could be the platform for everyone. Okay. Any other questions so far? Comments? I think most of them has posted the comments. There's one more. Let's have a group photo. Yes.
Can I make a suggestion also?
Yes.
I think this type of webinar is very useful, but we have to be able to match the technologies with the business side now. So maybe we should have a better way of promoting this so that we get a wider audience. Now it's mainly us, we are listening to each other, but we have to bring people who are in the business side or people who want to take it up and commercialize it, upscale it. How do we make this how to get a wider audience for this type of thing?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that could be one of the takeaway from this first breakfast discussion.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so my last comment is thanks. This is a very great event. Okay, so I think with the 4S or with many S to be added on by all of you, and we can carry on to doing the same thing, and it become a matching section also. Okay, so not only sharing ideas and turn ideas into commercialization. Like for example, just now out of the another 3 speakers, the idea is brilliant. Okay, maybe sometimes as technical people, there may lack of fund or lack of investment. So through the connection and through our cables, we can always connect them into various business opportunity to be expanded. Yeah. So I would like to say thank you to all of you. And because I have another section by 11:30, so I need to say bye to all of you. And I would like to join for the next section to be the audience. So thank you. Bye bye.
But Dr. Joseph, can we have a group photo first before we go?
Okay.
Can we open up the mic? Video actually. Your video camera.
Okay. Yeah. Open up your video so you can see everybody.
Yes, everybody. Yes.
Folk, can you?
First page.
You only can see your head, folk. Can you put your?
Okay.
Adjust the screen.
Yeah. Okay.
Can you adjust so that we can see your full face?
Okay.
Otherwise, you only see your white hair.
First page, later. This is our first page, and then second.
Yeah, put your thumb up. Action shot.
Later, second page. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Joseph. I know you have to leave early. Maybe we can have one or two more
Thank you.
questions. Maybe Dr. Lydia, do you want? I saw you back. Do you want to try again to speak to us, Dr. Lydia?
Lydia, can you?
Thank you.
Can you unmute yourself?
Unmute, yeah.
You're muted. Okay.
Come.
Can you
So, I'll repeat what I said.
Yeah, we couldn't hear you just now because you broke off.
And I would congratulate them also for continuing their projects which they have submitted as winners for the AAET before, that they have now commercialized what they have done. And I think that's a very good challenges for them, and which they were able to prove that what they are doing is really a viable project. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lydia. Any more comments and also things to ask the speakers today? Perhaps for Dr. Heng, maybe I think Dr. Heng talks about urban development. So perhaps also a chance for those who are in, especially in development and infrastructure. Do you have any questions to Dr. Heng?
Not a question actually, Dr. Heng. We in Malaysia, our institution of architect, PAM, is very much into urban development, green urban development. So if you need any kind of assistance from us, I can actually arrange for the PAM from Malaysia or perhaps we can have a online discussion on the ideas we have on green development. Because we have a group in Malaysia that's very active doing this work.
That's very good. Yeah.
Please contact me so that we can share the knowledge with you. And for those of you, like for example, Dr. Lee from Singapore, if you need to have a free marketing services, you can anytime call me, because I have over the years made some very good contacts, especially in the Asean region, also in the South countries, and we can perhaps put your knowledge, put your your research and development finding into my briefcase, and I can just do the first introduction for you. So that of course you have to follow up.
Certainly.
We can do that for the offer this personal contact that I have got to all of us. And Dr. Julius, I think you should come to Malaysia. We got 80 million tons of fiber only from the palm oil estate. And perhaps we could also, I'm also in the Academy of Sciences Malaysia, Academy of Sciences Malaysia. This could be an area that we could bring up and see whether we can emulate what you have done in Philippines. Also start a research center where we can focus on converting the natural fiber into fabric rather than the one thing I saw which was very attractive is your reusable face mask. That could be something that I think the pandemic is not going to be over in 1 or 2 years. It will be there for a long time. So if we can use the one that you have done, natural fiber, I think it would be something which is something that we can really promote through AAET, the contribution of AAET. This could be just one of the first contribution that AAET can make towards combating the pandemic and saving ourselves. Those are the few things that crossed my mind very quickly today. Okay.
I think before we actually have close to the session, maybe I'll just share with you. Of course, our objective today is the sharing of the last of the past winners, and not to forget, I'm actually putting up on the screen is to encourage for those who are not have participated in this yet. Just to share with you, the AAET Green Award, which was supposed to be done this year, has been bring forward to next year because of the pandemic. And it will be actually, as mentioned, these are the winners. And of course, we will send this to you. Who are the eligible you can nominate your friends or whoever who actually make difference in the environment as well as sustainable development. And of course, there are various categories to be in. You have listened from the winners just now, I think 4 of them. And do encourage your friends or even yourself who are not who have not participated yet to participate in this event. And we also have a representative from each country to get to know more about the awards, especially 10 countries representative. We will share this to you as well. And don't forget, the closing date is 30th June 2021. And we are expecting to have a physical award giving ceremony in October or November in conjunction with the KL Science Fair. So hopefully this will still be in place pending the pandemic situation as well. So for more details, do log on to the webpage for the details. And don't forget as well to also talk to our Dr. Folk, who is actually the Executive Secretary, to get to know more about this particular award. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, as Engineer Chu has mentioned, we will still go on with our breakfast chat in the coming months. We have already arranged this today. We have 2011 winners. We'll get more winners to share with you in the coming months. So if you need to know more about how you can participate as well, do join us. This is just a short promotion of our event. Any more comments from the floor? You have any items to highlight or things to ask us? Anything else from anyone, speakers? So if not, I think we have about we have done a 1.5, slightly more, 1 hour and 45-minute session. Before we end, maybe final words from Engineer Chu. Anything from you?
Okay, my final word is please stay home, stay safe, and look after yourself so that we can see each other more often in the future for a long time. Thank you very much for participating. Thank you to the moderator who did very well. Quite professional, if I say, you know.
Okay.
So
And
this could be a platform for us to continue communicating with one another.
not to forget, thanks Dr. Folk as well for organizing all these first webinar and of course first Zoom session. And definitely, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to do our second one, and we'll try to attract more people to join. I'm sure this particular first one will be a promotional where we actually can put it in the YouTube and all that to promote our next event. And hopefully we will actually be seeing each other again in the next 2 months. We're targeting to do it maybe in December, our next event. And once again, thank you, and stay safe, everyone. And see you again. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Have a good